Well, it's been a full year now that we've been involved in the Real Dads program. And since we started with the no idea whatsoever what to expect, really, it's been an interesting year, to say the least. And just the way my mind is wired, I'm always fascinated with what motivates people. Fascinated with the similarity of responses, looking for trends and try to figure out how we can be most effective in what we're trying to accomplish. So with that, my experience has been so far that there have been a lot of similarities between the young men that I've had the opportunity to sit and chat with. Probably first and foremost, the thing that jumps out is each of the young men that I've sat with believed, rightly or wrongly, when they came in, that they were saved, that they had a relationship with Christ. And I don't think that I necessarily changed anybody's mind necessarily, but the thing that came out was in the process of the conversation, talking about what it really meant to walk with Christ, to be saved, and to live a life that would be pleasing to Him. And the lives that I asked them to describe and evaluate, and did they align? A life of walking closely with Christ in the life that they were currently living in. And so while it wasn't openly challenging, which of course that's what I hope not to do, to offend them or put them off, but by putting it in that language, each of them quickly began to explain the circumstances in their life. And one of a couple of the things that really came out of that, one openly rededicated his life to Christ because he openly admitted that after the point at which he thought he was saved, he went completely in a different direction with how he was living his life. And that was actually, interestingly enough, the very first client that I sat with. Following that, the other guys were a little less demonstrative, but were eager for me to pray with them and to pray for them. So that was really encouraging. The interesting thing, which really doesn't have perhaps any immediate consequences for us as an organization, but it does perhaps longer term, is the people who most influenced their idea of what it meant to be a Christian and to follow Christ. And almost to a person, it was a grandmother. So I find that really interesting that somehow the faith experience skipped an entire generation. But thankfully, they did have that individual in their lives. They believed they were saved because Grandma took them to church when they were 10, 11, 12 years old or something like that. It varied a little bit from guy to guy. But in that process of coming to believe that they were a Christian, it had an interesting impact, I felt, from the standpoint of they were all excited either about becoming a father for the first time or becoming a father again, because a couple of guys already had at least one, if not, I think one had two children already, all by different moms, unfortunately. So they had a wide range of experiences, but they were all really excited about becoming a dad. And I'm confident, based on the conversations, that evolved from the fact that the grandmother and the church experience. Invested in them a sense of what it meant to be a child of God, if nothing else. If they never really, truly prayed to receive Christ, they were open and willing to hear and to follow the gospel story. And so that was really encouraging, and I hope that, as we continue to grow the men's ministry at Women's Choice, that we have the opportunity to build on some of these initial experiences that we've had, the things that we've learned, and the opportunity that we have to minister to more men. One of the things that I'm really hopeful of is that we are able to figure out in some way, shape, or form how to tap into the community. As we have the opportunity to explore how word travels in the community, specifically in the community in which the center is located, it'll help us connect, I think, with other young men who haven't had the opportunity to either hear about the center, if they have heard, to not be afraid of it, like it's some incursion into their life, but at the very least has the opportunity to make the center become a beacon of hope in the East Fort Worth community.